Was there a lot of manipulation at hand? Yeah. And I've kept my mouth shut.
Hey, what is up, you guys? It's Dustin, and I am back with another video. And in this video, I want to react to the podcast that Tati just went on with Michelle Phan. You guys tagged me in this several times, probably at least 15 or 20 times over on Instagram as well as Twitter. And I was shocked to see that Michelle actually had a podcast. I didn't even know that this was a thing. The last thing I heard of Michelle Phan was her allegedly being in some kind of cult, praying people out of wheelchairs. But I did watch part of this podcast. I'm not going to react to the whole entire thing. I do think if you want to know more about Tati and her history as a YouTuber, you should definitely check out this whole podcast. It is very nicely done and well put together. But if you guys want to see what Tati had to say about James Charles and Jeffree Star, stay tuned to this video. Now, over the years, we've seen Jeffree Star put his digs in at Tati as well as James Charles, and we have also seen Tati put her digs in at James Charles and Jeffree Star. And you guys know that I have talked about this whole thing extensively with the Dramageddon series that I've done and the multiple videos that I posted at the time that all this stuff went down, the disintegration of this friendship between Jeffree Star, James Charles, and Tati. So I think it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see what Tati has to say. People told me to start at the 17-minute mark, so that's what I'm going to do. So let's see what Tati had to say.
And showing people that I'm real, just like you. Yeah. You know? So, okay, you were doing 5 videos a week. That's crazy. I thought 2 videos a week was hard. 5 is insane. I did that for 5 years. That is incredible. And the first 1,000 videos I edited myself. That's crazy. That's amazing. Yeah. Wow. So you're full-time in LA, you're doing 5 videos a week. I'm assuming around this time, I remember this time, brands had a lot of budget and they were throwing so many different parties. You were probably going to these parties and everything and meeting people. I'm so I know, because I'm so bad at like going to these events and meeting people, but I'm so curious like how, because it's kind of like high school. I feel like you're going into another high school where you have the popular kids, navigate through making friends, you know, and like forming meaningful relationships. I always really wanted to. I don't know how successful I was at it or how realistic it was, because the business is competitive. It is. And
this is just my opinion, but I believe that this is Tati's nice way of saying there is a lot of fake people out there and there are a lot of snakes. And Tati's apparently allegedly supposed to say that James Charles and Jeffree Star used her. And if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I do think that Tati may have been used a little bit in that situation. She wielded a lot of power against James Charles, and we all know how bad Jeffree Star hated him.
He definitely was very naive. I met some great people. I really did. There was a small era where I was hanging out with Fleur. She has her channel Fleur de Force, Ingrid, and Esclamorazzi. We did a girls trip to IMATS in New York, and I got to go over to IMATS London, and like so there were like these cool like. I wouldn't call it cliquey, but like there were real friends. Nikki Philippi was also kind of in that group. A very talented group too. Yeah, really talented. And everybody was just really hustling and focused, but not backstabbing or terrible to one another. Like, I don't remember that being a huge part of the story. Were there people that spread rumors and played it like high school? Yeah, that happened. Yeah, for sure. But, you know, there were some good times. Yeah. And then everybody kind of just grows up and starts doing different things. They have their life. Yeah. They're doing their thing. Yeah. No, I totally understand. I'm just wondering, like, throughout this entire time as you're making...
Out of all the podcasts that you guys have seen me react to, I feel like this is the most natural one. The way the conversation moves to Tati and then back to Michelle is actually really refreshing. So I may just have to subscribe and start watching this. Like I said, I didn't even know that she had a podcast.
Making friends and you're forming relationships. Did you ever feel like they were using you, or they were using you for clout? Or did it feel meaningful? I mean, do we want to go there? Like, should we go there? Let's just drink this water. Let's just dive on it. I mean, like, I can share. Okay, so I'm happy to share on my side. I think it's so crazy because when I'm hearing you speak, it's like, oh my gosh, we literally have parallel lives. Like, what you experience, I experienced something like that, but just in my own way, right? And like you too, I had a lot of really cool friends that I made along the way. Most of them were net positive, but some of the friends that I did make that I truly thought had my back, and they were hanging out with me in my house. Like when you come into my house, you know, I have a partner. It's like you really get to
Well, girl, if you're going to say all that, give us the tea. Who are you talking about? Who backstabbed you? Spill the tea, sis. I want to know.
know me, and I don't invite anyone into my home until I feel like there's trust, right? So I was naive to think like a lot of these people that were that close to me had my best interest at heart. It wasn't until later I found out through rumors and people coming out of the woodwork and finally telling me, hey, so-and-so said this about you. And it's like, wait, what? Like, this is someone I helped. I literally helped their career. I taught them.
I literally ran into a burning house to save somebody's life and their dog. And you know how they repaid me? They tried to destroy my character online. That is how fucking evil people can be that you meet online. So be wary of anybody that you make friends with online. I'm at a point in my life where I don't need new friends. I'm happy with what I got, and that is enough for me. But I will say it is nice to know that I'm not the only person that has been through this kind of shit. It sucks that anybody has to go through this, but I'm ready to hear Tati's side.
It's so insane. Like,
It is.
the feeling of
Hurts so
yeah.
deeply. Like, it's very different when that happens.
Yeah. I was also like you, like so naive, thinking like, I thought everyone was good at heart. Like I thought if you showed up and you were authentic and you were loving and you were honest and you were just, you know, like open heart, you would receive the same thing. But I didn't know that there are people who, well, they have alternative motives and borderline, I don't want to psychoanalyze, but there's a lot of narcissistic tendencies. And I didn't know that that existed until way later after everything was burnt down and bridges were completely torched. And I'm so curious if you also went through that too.
Yes, many times. That's the wild.
I feel like there should be a study about people in California, not people born in California specifically, but people that migrate and move to California, if they're social media influencers, because I believe that California, specifically LA County, may be the narcissist capital of the United States.
Wild thing is there's definitely been like an ebb and flow. So gosh, where do I start with this? So in the early days, it was really just like small stuff. Like someone didn't want to hang out with you at the party. And it was like really just dumb, right? Like, who cares? But then as things grew and it got more cutthroat, it really was a lot of people coming into your life to see, who do you know that I can network with? What can I get out of this relationship? And that happened, absolutely. And something that I've never been able to really clear up because I've tried to let the past stay in the past, but hey, we're kind of digging up a bunch of stuff right now. So back in the day, you know, I did help James Charles quite a bit. And I think that there's been a big...
I can't believe that Tati's actually sitting down and talking about this. I never thought that there would be a moment where Tati would go on a podcast and talk about it. I thought maybe she would upload a video and maybe talk about James Charles, but never a podcast. If she's willing to mention James Charles in a podcast, in my opinion, with my thought process, there is a possibility that she could possibly say more about James Charles later. But what's so crazy about this to me is I thought they were cool. I thought they were good because Tati made up with him. If you remember in Tati's video, Breaking My Silence, you would know that her and James Charles kind of like mended fences. So it's honestly kind of shocking to see her in a podcast talking about this. And truthfully, I never thought that I would see Tati on a podcast. She doesn't seem like the type to do a podcast, but she's doing a damn good job. I'm actually really surprised that she mentioned James Charles, so maybe she's going to spill us some tea.
Misconception that I somehow pursued the relationship with him. He was 17. He didn't have an established channel. He was the one hitting up me in my DMs. We met the first time at Generation Beauty in New York. Oh my gosh, in the green room. And he was like, oh my gosh, I love your channel. Like, let's hang out in LA. And it was him pursuing me. So a lot of people have felt that I somehow was pursuing him for a benefit. And that was a weird part of the story. During that time, like my channel was growing. There were a lot of people coming at me that wanted to suddenly be my friend. And that was really bizarre.
I'm actually on Tati's side with this because at that point, James Charles had literally nobody in his corner. He was no one, and Tati absolutely put him on. And I do believe Tati when she says that she watched out for him. Didn't she say that she got him like a multi-million-dollar deal with Morphe? I tell you what, if somebody got me a multi-million-dollar deal and changed my life, I sure as fuck wouldn't stab him in the back. If I could ask James Charles one question and he had to answer it completely honestly, not related to the allegations, I would ask him, was it worth it? Was Sugar Bear Hair and the security worth you losing this friendship and getting smeared across the internet? Was it worth it, James? This lady did so much for you, and the way you repaid her was gross. And honestly, I feel like Tati was 100% valid in her feelings and feeling betrayed. But it wasn't just the betrayal, it was betrayal on a wide scale. Millions of people saw that. Millions of people knew about their relationship, and thousands of people started putting this together that this was her competitor. Because there's a lot of people that like to think that Tati injected that into the conversation. No, there was people talking about that before Tati ever made my sister. And that is a fact.
I had been through cycles of drama, kind of kept to my own. If you're filming every day of the week, you don't have a lot of time for all of these relationships, you know? It's true. Yeah. So I'd work a lot. And then the other relationship that kind of came to me that wasn't what I pursued, just to clear things up, is Jeffree Star. So how I met him the first time was I had a lunch set up with...
Listen, I want to tell you guys something. I have spoke to Jeffree Star a couple of times, maybe a handful of times. And when I tell you that Jeffree Star does not like Tati Westbrook, he does not like Tati Westbrook. If you can remember all the energy that he had for Laura Lee and how bad he disliked her, multiply that by about 50. And there was even a point when I spoke to Jeffree Star myself, and he said that if she ever mentioned his name, he would either sue her or drag her across the internet. Neither of those things have happened, but I don't think Tati's ever really called him out by name like this. I could be wrong, but I do wonder if we can expect Jeffree Star to respond, because you guys know that he's gonna see this. I'm pretty sure this has already been sent to him and he's already thought about what he's gonna say.
Laura Lee, and we're going to Cheesecake Factory and just gonna kind of hang out and get to know each other a little bit better. And literally like 15 minutes before the lunch, she calls me and is like, hey, just heads up, Jeffree's coming. And at the time, like, he was killing it, right? Like, he was amazing and growing. And also he was totally terrifying. And so I was just like, oh no, like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of an idiot. And I'm kind of like this innocent, like, boring, like, my channel's boring. Like, I'm kind of boring. Like, this is going to be wild. Like, why does he want to meet me? Why does he want to go to lunch with me? Like, this is crazy. Because we're definitely an odd pairing, right? So we all went to lunch and it blew my mind. And this is something I'll say to his credit. We sat down and he had told me that he had heard through the rumor mill that someone had been spreading some pretty nasty rumors about me. And that he didn't judge people until he got to know them. And then Laura was like, yeah, I heard the same rumor, and Manny knows about this, and Patrick knows about this. And I'm like, well, I have like 5 girlfriends that have told me the same story. So this person is clearly spreading a lot of lies. And that was upsetting, but also like bonded us in that instant. I was like, oh my God.
Do not edge us this way. Who was it? I need to know right now, because obviously it's not James Charles. Who are you talking about? Do any of you guys in the comments know? I want to know. I've never heard this story before, and I've heard a lot of stories about Tati.
Gosh, like the person that maybe I had judged that I thought was really scary in front of me was so cool, intelligent, charismatic. Like, I immediately liked him a lot. And I was like, that's so awesome that you're not going to listen to a rumor and you want to get to know me. Like, okay, we're really different, but like, let's get to know each other. And that's how that friendship started.
Wow.
So I never pursued anyone that I ended up in big...
Yeah, you're doing 5 videos a week. You don't have time to pursue.
No. So they kind of, pursued the friendship, and it was exciting. Blew up in my face, but... and even I wouldn't call it a friendship with Shane, but he pursued me too. So it was like, I look back at my life and I'm like, wow, like I was my own little island. And
I will never in my life forget that epic meltdown that Shane Dawson had on that Instagram live when Tati uploaded that Breaking My Silence video. Girl, the internet was in shambles.
This is insane. This woman is a fucking... Oh my God. I'm going to wait till as many people get in here as possible, because I'm losing my mind.
Like, how did this happen? But it happened.
Yeah. I mean, since we're on that topic, I remember that just broke the internet. That whole era
did.
Okay, first off, I have to give you so much props. You are so brave for just speaking truth like that, because there's been so many times I want.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I believe what Tati said the first time was the truth. I hope that they address her actually taking that back and her actually mending that fence with James Charles, because Tati has never addressed that. Never, not one time that I've seen. And I feel like out of everyone, if that were to happen, I would have seen it.
Wanted to do a My Truth video, and I'm like, not ready. I don't want to do this because I know the repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know like the attacks and everything. And so I'm so curious as to like how are you feeling on the lead up to that? Like, it's not like something that just, I woke up and I'm just going to do this. Like something, it was probably boiling for a long time, right?
You're talking about Bi Sister, or
Just leading up to all of that.
leading up to all
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Because I know it's not an overnight thing doing something like that.
Wait a minute. I love that Tati was like, are you talking about Bi Sister? Like there wasn't 2 other videos, girl. Tati uploaded a whole video after destroying James Charles and titled that motherfucker, Why I Did It. Tati has some fucking brass balls.
Need more therapy for this, you know? It's still like, it's been 5 years, about 5 years, since the infamous birthday party dinner. Which I haven't celebrated a birthday in 5 years. That's something that
Are you serious?
that's like on the shelf. Yeah, like that was the last birthday party I had, and it was horrific, and changed my life. You know, and I have to accept. Here's the thing: I can't go in a time machine and like, oh, I wish that dinner had never happened. You know, like I can't undo what happened. But that was the catalyst for everything moving forward. We all know what Bi Sister was about.
Mm-hmm.
Did I think it would blow into what it was? Did I have the capacity to have 50 million views on a video? No.
That's
Me?
crazy.
No. Like a couple million.
I don't believe this for 1 second. You got to think, this was at the time when James Charles was honestly at his peak because he had collabed with Jeffree Star. Jeffree Star had collabed with him. Shane Dawson was in the mix. Everyone involved in this situation had millions upon millions and millions of followers. I do feel like Tati's minimizing this just a small amount. I really do.
And we've broken up and we're done. And I don't associate with him anymore and we're done. Like, that's really where I was at. I felt like I had to make that video, but I had a lot of noise in my ear, and a lot of powerful people bringing information to me, and it happened. I was really distraught over the information. It was very triggering to me. You know, I've had to overcome some pretty significant trauma in my life, and it triggered every part of me, the information that I was hearing. And a lot of people want to say like, well, why didn't you go to the police? Why didn't you? Like, if things are of that nature and they're not affecting you directly, you can't. I felt like I needed to cut ties publicly. I didn't like how he was behaving. I was very clear about that. Looking back, were a lot of things fed to me that I don't know were true. Yeah. You know, if you hear that YouTube executives are going to be deplatforming someone, and you should definitely make sure that you keep your distance because this is happening and it could take you down too. Like, yeah, you're going to like,
I never heard that, but what I did hear was that there was a potential that Jeffree was going to lose his channel, Tati was going to lose her channel, and James Charles was going to lose their channel because this was so big, you guys. If you're watching this channel, you probably came from that. That's when my channel grew exponentially. There was so many people that watched this. My channel alone, my little baby channel, my channel's still a baby, but it was like a baby at that time. I was getting 250 to 550,000 views an hour. I would post a video and it would just shoot up in views. Everybody was looking for this. That was a monumental moment on the internet.
over that, you know.
Gosh.
So there was a lot of energy at play, and I can't explain it further than I felt like I had to make that video.
Yeah.
I had to. And the weirdest thing happened right before I filmed that video. And it was honestly, it still just makes me go, oh my gosh.
So I sat down and, I don't script my videos. So I was just like, I just got to talk to camera. And I have my assistant in the studio with me, and we hear this incredible thud on the glass. And she's like, this is a bad omen. This is a bad idea.
Was it a bird?
It was a bird. It was a sparrow. And so I go outside and I see this bird, and this bird is like shaking on the ground. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, is this
I've always heard that birds flying in your house is a bad omen. Birds flying into windows is a bad omen. I would have freaked out. And I do believe in signs. If something happens and I'm sitting down to film a video and it's crazy like that, I may reconsider what it is that I'm going to talk about that day. So to me, since I believe in that kind of thing, this kind of like creeps me out just a little bit knowing that now.
the sign? Like, what am I doing? And the bird got up and flew away. And I remember I looked at James and I'm like, this is going to near kill me, but I have to make this video. But I'll be okay. And so I marched back inside and sat down, and, the rest is history.
Wow.
50 million views? That is so insane. Oh my gosh. So you
And it was monetized, I think.
uploaded the video, and did you go in reading the comments? Do you decide, okay, I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to close my laptop and walk away and do my life?
Yeah.
What was the aftermath of that entire? I laid in bed. I love that for you. I could not believe that this happened. Like, I know people will say, like, you chose to sat down, you did this, like, you had a choice, and I did. And I made that choice.
But it did seem like you were, I don't want to,
I like how she sternly says, I made that choice.
just based on what you're telling me, it seemed like there was some sort of manipulation into you creating it. It felt like that. Yeah. And, it still does. None of it makes any sense because it's not you. Like, I've been watching your videos for so long. Like, you're not the type to get into drama. Like, you're very family friendly, wholesome, like, real.
I don't know if I agree with her here, not necessarily with Tati, but like, you can watch somebody for a very long time and meet them in person and find out that they're a piece of shit. I promise you it has happened to me.
I'm just keeping it real too. Like, real recognizes real. And when that came out, I'm like, I remember thinking, this is not Tati. Like, did something happen? Like, man, why would she post this? It just seemed really out of character. The information that
And that's not true either, because Tati had just called out Kiki Chanel maybe a few months before all that happened with James Charles. If I'm remembering that correctly, I think that came before Dramageddon. I could be wrong, but Tati has definitely played her hand at some drama before.
I had felt really upsetting. And, James Charles referred to me publicly as mom, like, hey, mom, like, and like, we're besties. And like, I felt tied to him in this industry. And I wanted to untie that. And I felt like I needed to do it publicly. And I can't make sense of why I felt so deeply. Was there a lot of manipulation at hand? Yeah. And I've kept my mouth shut. And I felt that was the best path for me. And, that first week after, like, YouTube was not happy with me. Like, oh my God, they were not happy with me.
really?
No, it was, the behind the scenes was rough. I took a little bit of time, like not a significant amount of time, couple weeks to kind of dust myself off. I'd made that second video kind of being like, wow, guys, this has really gone out of control. Like, I said what I said, but this doesn't mean that.
The video was titled, Why I Did It, Girl. That's like, okay, you're going to go on the internet and really just obliterate somebody, just completely destroy them to millions upon millions of people. This made it to mainstream media. So please, please, please do not try to minimize this situation, Tati. Oh, I just made a second video. You made a video after completely destroying James Charles, and he deserved it, in my opinion, rightfully so. He deserved everything you gave him and a lot more. But please don't downplay this, please.
This doesn't mean that people need to go out there and, like, hunt him down and be so nasty. Like, I didn't think it would turn into what it turned into. It was a full-blown circus. So, yeah. I, for a while, really regretted making that video.
what people I think don't understand, like even when I did, I think it was like a year later, because everything had been kicked up again and I was being blamed again for so much. And I'm like, this is making me crazy. Like, I really feel like I need to speak my side. When I made that video, that last video about this situation, I never said, hey, none of these allegations are true. Like, what I regretted was that it blew up into this big circus, that I took things publicly that I should have taken privately, that I should have investigated more thoroughly instead of trusting people that were close to me. I had regret.
But honestly, what I say to that, yes, this caused a mess. It was terrible for the time and it was poorly handled, but that did let us know what kind of person that James Charles is, because he's been exposed multiple times after that. You literally never know when somebody's going to come out of the woodwork on James Charles and make a new allegation. Now, some of them may be false, but I believe that there are some of them out there that are for real. And like Petty Page said, we're never going to let you forget James Charles.
I'm desperate.
Regrets over all of those things. But I never said, hey, and it was all a lie and none of it happened. Like, I never did that. And that was the story that then took off, which was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, you can't control. It's like wildfire. You really can't control stuff like that afterwards. You can only speak your truth from that point. And that's what you were trying to do when you're making these other videos to clear it up.
I was trying to clear it up.
Yeah, but then it
didn't get cleared up. Yeah, it just brought on more. So it kind of gets to a point where it's like, well, should you ever speak your truth? And that gets really tricky because now I'm in a place where I want to speak as much truth as I can, but let go of the outcome and let go of what people say. And if people are like, wow, you are crazy, I'm like, well, good thing you're not living with me. Like, if you feel that way, like, I'm in my skin, I'm in my life, and I need to focus on that. So accept me or don't. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
I actually really love that because I too am at that point where I just don't give a fuck anymore. Either you like me and you see me for who I am, or you don't and I just don't care. And that's basically what Tati's saying, and I can really appreciate that. So I think this is beautifully stated. Good job, Tati.
Yeah. So interesting because I feel like sometimes being a public figure, you're putting yourself out there and everyone, you can give someone the same book. If you read it and I read it, we have two different experiences. And oftentimes that's how it is. There's always another side to the story. But sometimes you have to kind of accept that you might be a villain in someone else's story. And you can't change that. You can't try to go in and force the narrative to change for you. You have to detach from that if you want to live a life where you have sanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
For sure.
Yeah, like honestly, thank you for sharing that. And I know that I just knew when all of this was happening that my intuition, because I lean into my intuition a lot. My intuition was telling me, I don't know, this is not Tati, but I was so impressed with how you gracefully moved through this entire thing because I've never gone through anything like that. I've gone through a lot, but not like a public, like having friendship like that and just publicly breaking up with your friends like that publicly. I've never gone through anything like that. So I commend your bravery on that.
Thank you.
Honestly, like, wow.
Thank you. It's been wild. I've learned a lot, and I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think I handled everything perfectly, but there was a point where I was like, I've got to let go.
Yeah.
And it feels so much better to be in that space now where I'm not so micromanaging it. Like it's been 5 years since that birthday dinner. It feels like a lifetime ago. Do I feel like people still have a lot of that situation wrong? Yeah, absolutely. But I also know that I'm not here to create more damage. And I think that some things are better handled in real life. And I think that's the one thing that I wish I would have done is not bow to so much fear and handle things in real life. Because I was worried for my career. I was kind of in a bad place any which way you spin it,
How are you able to continue creating after going through so many like episodes of I don't want to call it setbacks, but just challenges like this conflict? Because you seem like a very peaceful, you want to make sure everyone's chill, everyone's good. You want to just focus on you and work on yourself. Yet people want to come into your life and they want to be your friend. They want to, unfortunately, sometimes use you as a ladder. Like, how are you still able to find strength to just continue?
Okay, I think I'm going to stop it here because I believe that the conversation is going to move away from Jeffree Star and James Charles, and I don't want to take up that much of her video, so I'll link it down below if you guys would like to go watch it. Honestly, I think that Tati handled this pretty well. She shared some things that we didn't know. That whole thing with the bird creeps me out, but I do think it'll be interesting to see if Tati's going to talk about this whole situation more. She has to know that more people want to know the tea about that, and there are a lot of people in the comments of this podcast actually embracing Tati. But you guys know that Jeffree Star is a loose cannon, and James Charles kind of has been himself lately. But with that said, if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it, and if you're new here and you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. And if you made it this far in the video, leave me the microphone emoji down below. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.